Hello, my name is Marek, and welcome to Tome of Awesome. This is my first attempt at doing a YouTube video. But I have a PS4 now, and I always thought this was kind of cool, so I'm going to try and upload some of these videos, see if this works out at the very least. I just think this could be kind of fun. Today I am playing Cosmic Star Heroine, a game that is best described as Mass Effect if made for the Super Nintendo as a love letter to Chrono Trigger, which means it's an RPG game with some interesting tactic enhancements to the combat system, but it takes place in a interplanetary intelligence anti-terrorism kind of universe with multiple alien races. They're all extremely fantastic. I'm going to be adding commentary here, but I will not be reading character lines because I'm smart enough to know that I can't do a female voice, and Alyssa LaSalle definitely requires like a kind of femme-shep character voice if you're going to try and do it. You know, she's quite the badass. So let's just go ahead and jump into this, shall we? Alright, and here we are. We parachute dropped down into the park here. I want to interestingly note that it looks like she's holding something in her hand there, that little green glow. And as we find out later, she does have a wristwatch that does holographic communication, so I imagine that's what that is. Right from the beginning here, I just want to say I love the sprite design for Alyssa LaSalle. This game was not made in RPG Maker, which means everything was done not with a standard image, but piece by piece, which is why you can see the green jewel on her beret shows up on the little character too. If this was Final Fantasy, or even just like an indie RPG game maker standard thing, her hair would just be straight up white. The hat would just be straight up red. You probably wouldn't even have the very clearly was a travel bag with the strap across her shoulder there and everything. It's just really refreshing to see such original individual character work here. Dave is our tech wizard. He's going to actually be joining the cast as a playable character later in the game. He does some really truly fantastic stuff with nanotechnology, what you might think of as like the wizard type character using an iPad, and we'll get more into that. He actually explains in one of the E3 YouTube trailers that they had for this game, explains exactly how an iPad can shoot lightning from the sky, which was kind of like a giant joke at like players trolling the game creators. So instead Dave decided to literally turn at the camera, break the fourth wall, pull a Deadpool, and just start yelling at the game player for several minutes in order to basically punish you for daring to just question everything before the game even got started. They took that trailer down, which is a shame because it was absolutely hilarious. Okay, there we go. Now that we have the music down a bit here, I'm going to set it for running. Like I said, with her character design, even all the trees and stuff look completely unique and individual. However, this is also one of the things that sort of gives it a little bit more of a Robo-Trek or Chrono Trigger feel for Super Nintendo, hence why I say that, because if you played anything from Doom and Destiny or anything else Z-Boyd Games has done, A bookshelf usually looks like a bookshelf no matter what game it is on any console or any system, period. That's how that's the slight disadvantage of using that. It makes it easier to produce video games, but you get this standard thing that sort of all blurs together after a while. Most gaming companies will put a little something into their game to be like, hey, check us out, we're awesome. Zeboyd Games. They created their own graffiti tag to graffiti tag the wall that they made because meta inception. Hyperduck Soundworks. They do the music for this game. They also did music for a game called Dust and Elysian Tale. If I continue with this and you guys like my videos and my commentary, I will most definitely be playing that game at some point because that game is awesome for 1,000 reasons that have nothing even to do with the amazing gameplay. Zeboyd Games also made 2 other classics. Cthulhu Saves the World. If you're a Lovecraft fan, that title alone should have you giggling. And Breath of Death 7. There is no 1 through 6. 7 just sounded cool. Breath of Death 7 plays very much like old school Dragon Warrior or Final Fantasy. Cthulhu Saves the World is more of a... well, Cthulhu Saves the World also is like Final Fantasy, but both of them were produced on an RPG Maker, so things look a bit more standard, even though they are very cool games in their own right. This one, however, they spent 4 years on working on individually, which is why all the graphics seem a bit more hyped up. Very, very different from any of their other games. Even bookshelves, computer consoles, and things like that you'll see later in this game do not look standard. They look individually created. And it's those little details that really make stuff amazing. Alright, that was the combat tactics readout there just to teach you. There's more combat tactics when you play the game. You can review it in the menu, but I'm also going to touch on it briefly here. The red bar is Alyssa's health. The number at the top of the screen is her health. That percentage underneath has to do with the ability to do certain healing and possible instant resurrection upon death kind of abilities later, which we'll get into. But more importantly, she has 2 squares under her name, under her health bar right there. One is filled in with blue, the other one not. Each turn that you take, another bar fills in. When they all fill in, her image that's lit up in bluish green right now will turn yellow and she goes into hyper mode, which is what they were briefly describing here. In hyper mode, an attack, whatever attack you use, is twice the damage. Now, most characters have one, but some of them don't. Alyssa, using her bow staff for swinging, can, with the bash ability here, it says very specifically, can reuse. That's very important, because these 3, including the healing, are not reusable. You use them once, and then they're gone. After you use up all your abilities, you have to rest for a turn, which lowers attack damage to you by 25%, and it recharges your abilities. Now, in a normal combat level, if we bring this up here, you can even see it. The Robo Dog is weak against, and then obviously a water droplet. He's weak against water because he's a robot. Now, obviously, in an advanced tactics thing, you'd want to either use Bash or Laser, which, it's a future game. The laser comes out of her bow staff. Did you really think that was just a bow staff? And then for her second turn, you'd want to use the Drown attack so that you get twice the water damage when he's weak against water. Obviously, tactics. You want to check out everything because there's little comments on virtually every item anywhere that you see this. I love the floating garbage truck. It has no purpose whatsoever other than to just look cool. Even the garbage dumpsters have gotten an upgrade in the future, and yet there's still trash everywhere. It happens. Okay, if I clicked through that too fast, feel free to just rewind and pause the video as you do it, or I'm also going to describe it now. Basically, the items are, you never run out, you don't have to buy new items, never, but you can only use them once per battle. And then shield equipment items, which we have right here, also have abilities on. If you ever watched Spy Kids 2, where they've got like the bracelet with like all the cell phone apps and holographic things on it, like all the tech of a full spy, but like in a glove or something. That's how these shield abilities kind of work. Her stats and all the character stats are pretty simple. They're basically streamlined in this game. You've got your HP, your physique, which is both strength and defense in the same exact stat, because it's just how healthy, how active you are. Spark is kind of like your ability to use magic or electricity, technology. The higher it is, the more powerful all your like skills and things are. Cunning is your speed, your ability to dodge and all of that. But Hackitude is the one that you really want to focus on. In the game, there are doors and security consoles that maybe have nothing to do with the game, or maybe if you open them, you'll find a secret item. Sometimes you'll need a certain character because they need to have a higher Hackitude, or your own main character can do it if theirs is higher. But the real thing is this. On the right here, you can see that each shield comes with multiple abilities, but it also says how much Hackitude you require. Just because you have a stronger shield equipped with much more powerful abilities doesn't mean you'll be able to use them all. However, as we level up, our Hackitude will increase. So, unlike a lot of games where you want to just equip the newest and then sell the old stuff, you want to hold on to at least one of pretty much every type of shield, because they all have different elemental properties or different healing abilities and things that while you may not be able to fully actuate and use now, you might be able to later on. The shield might be weaker, but if it gives you a mass resurrection or healing ability that you don't see in the more modern shields, you might want to hold on to it for just that one situation where you feel like you're totally screwed. The heal up ability, as you can see here, does not require any Hackitude, and that is always like a kind of free standard extra thing that's just applied or given to you when you have it equipped. When we go into this next combat scene, I'll talk and point out these little factors here. This game has so much that you can equip and set up your own combos. It really makes this game everything you could possibly want it to. As far as accessories go, each character has their own kind of things. Hers right now, the Stealth Satchel, increases her cunning by 3. It also says here, however, that she goes into hyper on the second turn and then repeats every 3 turns. This is kind of interesting because some equipment items will cause hyper to go faster or to delay it, and the same thing can be done true with the weapons as well. So there are so many stat abilities that can be like fringe benefits from everything. It really lets you set up and customize everything as need be. And with all that being said out of the way, we're going to go open this chest and give us the Shield Breaker. This is one of these items. It imposes a stat attack called Vulnerability. Lets enemies be more affected by physical damage as well as stuff. It's kind of like poison. But this game being as sophisticated as it is, poison is not just poison, because poison does not affect robots. So they also have rust, which is not to be confused with vulnerability. It's the little factors in this game that make me love it so much. Alright, coming up to our second battle here. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I love the fact that you can't use Bash because she's using one hand to hold her grappling hook. But as I pointed out earlier, the bow staff also shoots laser beams. For anyone who's a Final Fantasy VII fan, that whole scene of Cloud jumping out of the elevator, slashing an enemy with his Buster Sword, and miraculously jumping back onto the elevator, completely defying gravity because video games, was both awesome and pissed me off a little bit. Here, they